Hey everyone, how's it going? Azren, the language nerd here. Hope you're doing very, very well. I'm just sitting in my car here. I have to teach in about 5-6 minutes. And I thought I'd take out my phone and make a very, very quick YouTube video about a little bit of an epiphany that I had literally about 8 minutes ago. And it has to do with blending the classroom and blending the real world. Honestly, I think a really effective way to be learning languages is to be mixing both, let's call it traditional styles, or let's call it more academic styles of learning with the real world side of learning. Let me explain a little bit more. So I think a lot of people, at least the people that I meet, a lot of them are learning through classes, they're learning through textbooks, they're learning through self-study programs, they're learning through, podcasts. They're learning through a lot of different strategies, which are very effective, but there are a lot of strategies that are sit-down kinds of strategies. You're sitting in your desk, you're sitting in your car, you're sitting in your house, you're sitting in a classroom, you're sitting somewhere, and you are focused on learning. Whether it be focused on learning from a textbook, from the class, from a podcast while you're driving, from whatever it is. A lot of those strategies are sit-down, quote-unquote, sit-down style strategies. And to be honest, those are really fantastic. I use them often. I use them a lot. As a matter of fact, I am currently using them a lot. I basically have a Chinese class 4 days a week where I'm sitting in a classroom and we're learning. And so it's something I've done a lot and I continue to do. However, what I was thinking about today is I think the real magic is when you can mix, or you can blend, or you can get a little bit of both the sit-down style or the classroom style or the more academic style of learning, and you can mix it with a little bit of real-world style. What do I mean by real world? Well, by real world, I mean things like traveling abroad. I mean things like hanging out casually with people who speak whatever language. I mean things like going to a salsa club and dancing salsa with different people and speaking Spanish while you're dancing salsa. I mean taking a class or taking something in your target language. A good example of that last one is this one particular English student I work with. He decided to take a class on how to fix bikes, like cycle bikes, not motorbikes, cycle bikes. He decided to take a class on it that was taught in English. Yes, because he was interested in the bikes, but also because he was interested in improving or getting real world experience with his English and learning English by doing an activity. I think there's a lot of value in doing both styles of strategies. I think it can really accelerate your progress, really deepen your learning, and give you a good balance of the controlled environment of the academic styles, such as apps, textbooks, classes, etc., but also give you a little bit of the wild jungle environment, right, of putting yourself out there, even if it's just a little bit. I think what happens to a lot of people is they do these strategies where they are always sitting down in their own controlled environment all the time, 100% or 99% of the time, and all of a sudden when they get put into a wild environment, they get eaten alive. It's kind of like if you have a lion who grew up, or even like a monkey, let's say a monkey that was born in a zoo, raised in a zoo, only knew the zoo environment, was fed by the zookeepers, really lived in the zoo environment. The second you throw it into a real forest or jungle, it's going to be eaten alive. It's going to die quickly. It's going to die quickly, either because something will eat it, either because it'll eat something that it's not supposed to eat that's actually a poisonous plant, either because it won't be able to find food. It's probably going to die because it's not trained for the wild environment. And that happens to a lot of language learners too. It's kind of like they lived in a zoo. They only lived in their controlled environment forever, and they never actually went out into the wild. They never went out to practice with the native speakers. They never went out to practice by traveling abroad. They never actually did any activities in the language. They never really challenged themselves. And as a result, when the very first time they do, sometimes people make a jump and they try and go too far into the wild. They try and go from, okay, I've taken 4 years of classes, Now I'm going to travel to China. Now I'm going to travel to France and just jump in there. Whoa, that might be too hard for some of you. Maybe, especially if you're introverted, have social anxiety, that might be too difficult. It's going to be a really big shock for you. And for some of you, the shock is okay. I've been through that shock myself, and it's okay. Like, it's difficult, but you get through it. But for some of you, that shock might be too much. It might discourage you from learning any further. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is blend your two strategies. Blend the sit down strategies with the real world strategies. Blend the being in a zoo with going out to the jungle, and do it in a healthy way. Do it in a way where you're not pressuring yourself too much. You're not pushing yourself overly when you go into the jungle. You're not completely throwing yourselves to the lions to be eaten alive, or to, you know, what's that expression? Die or survive? There's an expression around it. Anyway, I think it's just making sure you're blending throughout the process, little by little. You're trying to find the right balance. I think that can be a really healthy thing. And last thing I'll say on the topic is, if you are a teacher like me, I think you need to figure out how to blend that in your classrooms. How do you teach your classes in a way where you are, yes, doing sit-down strategies like you would in a traditional class, but you're trying to bring the jungle into the classroom. You're trying to bring the jungle into the zoo. You're trying to give people a taste of the jungle in your classes, so that when they experience the jungle for the first time, it's not the first time. They've already had a taste of it. To be honest, it's something I'm not, as of today, it's not something I'm doing as well as I'd like to, and it's something that I need to work on, and something that I need to change and improve upon. Something I was thinking about as I'm sitting in my car here, and I wanted to make a quick video about it. So anyway, thank you for watching this. I gotta go teach now, so let's wrap this up. We will talk later. Bye for now, guys. See ya.